It's the Redirect Podcast, search industry research, discussion, and analysis from the Black Truck Media and Marketing Headquarters. And now, redirecting you to the Black Truck team.
Welcome to episode 32 of the Redirect Podcast. It is Friday, February 2nd, 2018. I'm Jason Dodge, founder of Black Truck Media and Marketing. Welcome this week by Ashley and Patrick from the Black Truck team. Welcome, gang.
Hello.
Hey. So, lots happening this week. There's been a lot in the world of search. We're back to our normal programming, I will say. I feel like this is a radio show, so if you haven't yet, jump back and listen to episode 31. We did a little special segment called After the Click and talked about kind of action steps that you can take once you get traffic to your site. How can you better that traffic, take advantage? Take advantage is probably not the right thing to say when we're trying to be nice, but how do we get people to do what we want them to do and make it easy? But please do give that a listen. I think there's a lot of really great pieces of information in there, but a lot of things kind of up in the air again. There's some really good content that was published this week in the world of search. There's a great piece on kind of Google Tag Manager, intro to Google Tag Manager over on the Moz blog, written by Angela Pettis, I think is how I would pronounce her last name. It's really good, like intro, full in-depth walkthrough, pros, cons, the different language that's used. It's something more and more I think that I feel like we continue to preach and get people migrated over to, but I think it's my mission in 2018 is to get everybody on Google Tag Manager and using it properly. And Google published a pretty comprehensive guide to featured snippets. It's quite in depth for those who want to geek out on it. It is what Google calls a reintroduction to Google's featured snippets. And I think I don't want to get too long-winded on this tangent, but I think this is an area we've talked about featured snippets a lot before. Mm-hmm. I've done a lot of testing on my own, Google personal device and Google Home device to really start to see how those results come up and different types of searches based on industry and like whatever my intent is to see where there's a featured snippet, because that's what it's still reading. Who's owning those spots? Is it the traditional Wikipedia, or is it from a reputable blog or news source or something like that? And I think that Google coming out and basically saying here's more or less a comprehensive guide to featured snippets just shows we know how volatile that is, and the voice search segment is growing. Not to bunk Pat's prediction and of it plateauing off in 2018 or anything, but I'm just gonna say. So Pat, with that, I'm gonna throw it to you because I think you're I think I know the direction you're gonna go.
I'm really trying to make myself believe that my prediction is wrong, but everything I keep reading backs up.
If you mention Alexa within the first sentence of your topic, then
my topic is fully focused around Alexa.
I saw Alexa on your screen as I was walking over here. So.
Yeah. Earlier this week, Jason, you sent an email around to the team with an article in Search Engine Journal about writing for voice search, and there was a debate, a conversation exchanged through the team here internally via email about, Ashley, you mentioned you're intrigued by the way you might have to write and have to dumb it down.
Yes.
And I chose to not include myself in those emails because I'm going through my own little personal experiment at home right now. Like I said, I want to prove myself wrong. I want to get on the voice search and the voice assistant bandwagon and find the best use of it. 2 weeks ago, I had 2 smart thermostats installed in my house. The Ecobee 4, it's supposed to be better than Nest. I got a good deal on them.
Is it better than the Ecobee 3?
Yeah.
Okay. I would hope so.
Yeah, Ecobee 4 includes sensors. It comes with a couple of sensors you can place at different spots in your house, but they are inclusive of an Alexa device inside of it.
Wow.
So Alexa is I don't want to say somebody's probably in the Internet of Things and connected devices world's going to get pissed, but the Alexa connectivity is built into the Ecobee or the sensors or both, the whole system?
Just into the Ecobee itself, the wall mount unit.
Okay.
So basically your thermostat on the wall now is an Ecobee or an Alexa smart device.
Cool.
I have 2 of them now in my house. And I haven't talked much about it in the last 2 weeks because I've been running tests in the house and I've been actively trying to make it become part of my life. And 2 weeks in, I'm over it.
Really?
Yeah, I'm totally over it. It's
you should write a blog post about this. I feel like you should write a blog post. It's like the manifesto of
I will if you want me to.
Ecobee. I think it would be great.
Please.
It's basically half written.
Good.
So I just haven't been having any luck with it. I learned that there's Amazon skills that you can learn. You can log into the Amazon website, the Alexa section, and there's these skills, like basically modules, learning modules, and like how to speak to your device and get your device to do what you want.
So wait a minute. I'm going to stop you right there.
Sure.
In this awkward pause. You're telling me that I expect you to buy into a device and my technology, and then I have to train you how to communicate to it.
Oh yeah, this isn't Ecobee. This is Alexa, Amazon. This is the Alexa device. It's an Alexa skill.
I just wanted to make sure we clarify that. Moving on.
Sure, moving on. So I have 2 Alexa devices in the house. One in my bedroom, and I've labeled the device. I've named the device bedroom. There's one mounted in the hallway, and that's just outside what I call the great room in the house. And I've labeled that one hallway. You can't really mix those 2 up. One's named hallway, one's named bedroom. I wanted to tell my thermostat to increase the temperature by 1 degree. It didn't really quite understand what I was trying to tell it to do. So I did some reading and I found out that there's these Ecobee skills I have to learn. So I learned these Ecobee skills, I activated them, I turned them on, and then through the interwebs, it updated my thermostat devices so it knew this. So then I go back out to the hallway and I say, Alexa, turn up my temperature 1 degree. And it said, which device? And I said, hallway. Okay. There was a small pause, and then it said, I'm sorry, your device is not capable of doing that. So I just pulled my phone out of my pocket, opened up my Ecobee app, and I just slid my thumb up and I turned it up 1 degree.
So instead of telling the TV to change it to channel 35, you just pressed 3.5.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Another experience is my 3-year-old daughter, discovered that you can tell Alexa to play music and various things, and so we've been doing a lot of different experimenting with dance parties in the hallway. And then we're trying to get it to play Michael Jackson's greatest hits the other day. And we could not find a playlist. We're an Amazon heavy house. We do a lot of Amazon different products, a lot of the Prime products. One of them that we don't pay for is the advanced music. I don't know what it's called.
Yeah, and some albums are only available on
Yeah. So we kept saying play Michael Jackson's greatest hits, and it's not an album. It's a playlist that's out there somewhere, I think, and it wouldn't do it. And it like 4 times it started playing Alan Jackson's greatest hits, which is a country artist.
Wow.
And it's no offense to him, but that's not what we were looking to play.
You weren't trying to go way down yonder.
No, we weren't doing that one. And saying it various different ways, eventually Alexa said back to us, "Did you mean Michael Jackson's top songs?"
Sure.
Yes.
At that point,
do that. Alexa, do that. Yes, that one. So it's all in semantics. It's exact.
Okay.
It's exact match. It has to be like that. The whole exact match thing. You have
so
to
how
say
does
it.
that? How does that change your perception on what it means for search then?
It's terrible. It's not helping me do anything. I'm not. I could have just synced it to my phone. And, I have that built into my phone, and I have a Bluetooth speaker that I keep centralized in my house. I can just pull that up on my phone and just hit play, and it'll start playing my Bluetooth speaker, rather than this whole thing of yelling at my Alexa device to try to find what she wants me to do.
Well, I think case in point though is that we and we've talked about it before. I don't remember which episode or what blog post it was on, but we've talked about before, like, in order to hit, and we certainly haven't hit critical mass yet with voice activated devices, but in order to hit what we'll call a more improved adoption rate, they have to be 95% accurate. They're more or less there, except for when you have to train them or train yourself to speak the way that it wants to speak. So, but, I think, how does Alexa integrate with search, right? That's the big issue with Alexa is we've got Amazon commerce side, which is totally what they're going after.
Right.
Then we have the search side.
Right. There's a whole second half of this segment.
I'm waiting.
I'm going to try to tone it down a little bit so I could talk about this for like another hour and a half.
And I was like thinking about our dear listeners and how heated you were getting.
Sorry, people. So there's a new Amazon Echo device. It's called the Echo Show.
Okay.
It's got a screen.
Okay.
It's an Echo device, and Amazon.
Did it come out right around the holidays?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's called the Show. I think it's $300 or $400. I didn't look much into the details. And I saw a commercial for it a while back, and I just like, oh my gosh, and I had this mindset about it, and I didn't think about it. I talk about it enough in the office here in this podcast. So I just kind of shut my mouth. And so in doing this, prepping for this podcast, I was doing some reading out there, and I found a review from the Telegraph in the UK, and the very first sentence of the review was, "It wasn't supposed to be like this." We're regressing with the voice assistants when you add a screen. My biggest argument always has been with what's limiting voice search from taking off is the ability to move past the first search result.
Agreed. Okay, especially if I have to, granted, it's probably a setting. So there's somebody that's probably going, well, dummy, you need to set it up right.
Right.
But
learn an Amazon skill?
Yeah, I'm thinking of Google even. Like every time I want it, for the most part, every time you want it to do the next step, like, oh, well, search that again. Or like my daughter and I were playing around having it tell us knock-knock jokes. You can tell it to do it, like give me another one, but I have to say, okay, Google. Right? And it wants me, my phone wants me to talk to it right now. But so like, is the same, would you say the same is for Alexa as well? Like it's looking for the trigger word.
It's looking for that trigger word, but it's all down to semantics because it has to be exact. It has to be that exact match. It's that human, like the Google search algorithm knows that if I'm going to do a search for a plural word versus a singular word, and the phrasing can be kind of synonymous with each other, it knows to show you both in the search results. But with the voice search right now, it's only going to show you that exact match on the very first result. With this review that I read, it said that the Echo Show, the inclusion of a touchscreen, improved the experience. It made it better. Because the two biggest perks that it said on there was, in his example was music. It showed the song information, and it also showed the lyrics on the screen if you wanted to help with that. Further, it allowed him to make voice calls like Skype or FaceTime. And my immediate reaction to that is, we already have those in our house. Everybody that considers themselves a tech-savvy household has those. It's called a tablet. It's basically a station.
Or your smartphone.
Yeah, the Echo Show is a big, oversized stationary tablet with a bulky base. There's no difference.
Except it's tied to Amazon.
It's tied to Amazon, but it's got a search feature.
It's like your own Amazon kiosk, right?
Yeah.
So it would help with the
problem.
The problem, and I'm certain that it increases commerce because if I'm looking for something, I can say, Alexa, show me, X paper organizers, and it can show you a list of paper organizers. I get that.
It's going backwards, though. We're going backwards. We're regressing. It's not forward moving.
Well, but it's no different though. I'll argue the point though too that it's no different than in some of your, like the Microsoft Surface tab. with Cortana built into it, it's no different. You can talk, to Cortana, and Bing Cortana is gonna go and do a search for
but
you.
The Surface is a tablet that has a voice feature.
Correct.
This is the other way. This is a voice device that's throwing in a tablet feature, and they're treating it as though it's the next solution. It's the big advancement in these home search devices, these home voice devices. But I'm like, it's a tablet. I have one of those already.
Yeah.
Just I can prop it up and put it on my kitchen counter.
So what you've deduced from this, to not go down the trail too deep, what you've deduced is that right now, voice search is very exact.
Yes.
How we would view it in a PPC world as exact match.
Right.
This isn't a broad phrase. The information, the machine learning and the AI behind it isn't to that point of deciphering all of the other things. Probably the more you interact with it and the more you ask it questions and talk to it. I know my device gets smarter the more that I interact with it. So I would assume it would do that, but right now I'm with you. Like it's a pain point. It seems really cool, but it's very specific. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. And certainly I think that plays in well with, Google's coming out and publishing a document on featured snippets, because they know, I'm pretty sure, if you were to do a search right now, depending on what it is that you're looking for, Google's going to give you, and your home device is going to give you, very mixed results and a poor experience. So it's gonna leave you pretty disappointed. So
Yeah, I know this is a little bit of a tangent, but as you were talking about the Echo Show, it made me realize something that we don't probably think about or come across a lot or discuss is the issue of accessibility when it comes to search as well. And I recall seeing something about how the addition of screens to these devices is a positive step for people with disabilities who can't interact with a voice assistant. So that's just a whole different side of the...
And it's a great point,
Yeah.
and that's a great thing, but they have tablets already.
Right.
all right, Ashley, there's no segue, so are you taking it,
Yeah.
or you want me to jump in there?
Mine is pretty much going back to basics, so...
Cool, now let's go with it.
Okay, so...
I'm probably going to go what seems to be even more basic, but it's not, so...
We will see. So this morning I started rereading Christina Halverson's book, Content Strategy.
Content strategy for the web.
For the
I believe
web,
is what it
yes.
is. Yep.
Yes, exactly.
Just to clarify.
Yes, thank you. So I just wanted a little refresher, and I appreciate the way that she writes, so I wanted to give that a reread. And the very first chapter, she talks about how when it comes to your website and content on your website, less is more. More content on your site means more to maintain. And that just made me think about, I don't think this is something that she exactly brought up, but we work with a lot of clients on relaunching their sites or an HTTPS migration, which both of these are a perfect time to audit your content and think about what stays, what goes, what do we redirect. And it also made me think about, not that this is often the case, especially with clients that we work with, but if you're just starting a brand new site, think about exactly what you need to have on your website. She makes the point that your content should serve two purposes. It should either support a key business objective, or it should support a user or customer in completing a task. And a lot of website content can be boiled down to one of those two things, but there's certainly some things floating around out there that may convolute that.
Oh, yeah.
And may not be directly tied to one of those things. So, again, if you happen to be working on a brand new website, keep it simple, right? I'm looking back at our discussion last week about, user experience on the site, and, what can you do before you even get to a point where you have all of this unwieldy content on your site. Just start from the very beginning and have a strategy for keeping your content simple. And then, again, in those moments where you might be auditing your website at a point where you're doing a relaunch, it's a really great time to kind of let things go that don't need to be there.
Right.
Does she anywhere point out? I mean, I know your take on it too, Ashley. So, I didn't know if Christina talked about it. Was, really if you ever have doubts on the content you're writing or pages and things like that, you really have to ask, what's the value this is bringing? Why does this page exist? What's the value here? And if it's not providing the best experience back to our previous discussion last week on answering all the questions, giving me all the details, for the user's intent, searcher's intent, like why do we have it, or do we just have pages to have pages?
Right, that was the note that I made is, don't create content just to create content. Quality matters. You could look at it as, I have a note here about outperform your competitors. That's a reason to create content. But again, it should go back to those, is it supporting a key business objective? Is it supporting a user in completing a task? Yeah. And I had another thought, and it just left my mind, of course.
But I think all of those are really great. What she outlines in that book, to your point originally, it might seem very basic, but it's often overlooked in web design and in strategy for digital marketing in general. We want to do all of these things because, especially when it comes down to design, and the content that goes into it, because those are the pretty things. Those are the things in digital marketing that are very, very tangible. Much like us in the search realm, a lot of what we do is intangible. And it brings a lot of value, and it's very measurable in a somewhat geeky, data-driven way. So everybody gets so focused on the look and feel and creating all of these things and more things and more things because we believe it's going to be helpful. But in the end, it's not. Is really kind of what you're getting to.
Less is so much more.
Yeah, and I remembered my thought. It made me think of that challenge that was floating around the internet lately among marketers for that 90-day challenge.
Was that the Tide Packet challenge?
No.
The other one.
Not the Tide Pods.
Okay.
No, the 90-day challenge of creating content or publishing content for 90 days straight.
Who did that?
I don't remember. I know. Rand shared something about it. Was trying to get some input on it.
Miles Beckler.
Okay.
It's the official 90-day content challenge. It was a growth hack. So, anyways.
Yeah, and my first thought when I heard that is you need to either put a lot of work into creating quality content up front before you launch that, or you're creating stuff on the fly that what kind of quality is that going to be?
Back in the day, I used to be heavily involved with the local photography community, and back when your social media options were Facebook or MySpace, I was heavily involved with the social media profile Flickr through Yahoo, and there was clubs and different subgroups in there, and I was part of one called the Daily 365, where the challenge was to do a self-portrait 365 days in a row, back when they're called self-portraits.
Yep.
I picked up one year and tried doing it, and I think I got to day like 120, and I became absolutely bored with it. I'm not a very vain person. I don't take a lot of selfies. I'm not good at taking good pictures of myself, and I got to the point where like just my finger would be in the picture, qualified as like a selfie or something. And by day, I think I eked it out to like day 175 or something, and then I finally just like posted like, guys, I'm done with this. This is just too difficult and stupid. I'm just forcing it at this point, and there's nothing good coming out of this. And I just stopped.
Yeah.
And that was just taking a photograph.
But even that, I feel like that makes sense because it's a photo a year, that makes a lot of sense to me because you can kind of see the gradual change over a year. Mm-hmm. To me, that makes sense. To me, that's actually quite valuable, depending on your perspective, I guess.
Right. Your perspective would have probably been you were too serious about it as a photographer.
Right.
So, versus smartphone selfies.
True,
right.
Very true. But if you're going to do the daily content for 90 straight days and you're writing something of quality and you're a professional, it's going to be very difficult to eke out 90 consecutive ideas, 90 consecutive outputs that are worthwhile.
And unique and not regurgitating post number 35.
I would say that writing 90 days of content is way more difficult than doing 365 days of quality pictures.
Agreed.
Way more difficult.
Yep.
Even if it's just like 200-word stories, It's,
Yeah. I mean, I think it's an interesting experiment, but again, I want to put out a quality product.
Right.
I don't want to create just for the sake of creating.
Yeah, think about it this way. We've got, let's say, we have a site that's, from a performance perspective, it's just rock solid. So we've got a site that loads fast, it's secure, it's mobile friendly. I've hit all of these things. It's all the pages are indexing properly. It's ranking for some things. But then the content that's there does the content provide, when you do that, does the content provide actual value? Mm-hmm. And if the content's not providing actual value, then could that hurt your brand over time? I don't know. It depends on the audience you're trying to target. Yeah. I have no idea. That whole 90-day challenge, I have no idea what type of content he was trying to or people he was trying to target. I've read some of it. A lot of it's really, really in-depth, so that stuff was probably done. There's some things that certainly were ideated, up front. But
a lot of times it's different, too. If your role with the team is the person that creates content, and only content, rather than us here at Black Truck, we might wear like 7 different hats at any given hour. So it's
right.
It's in that we're not unique in that situation. There's a lot of companies and teams and roles and marketing departments that wear 18 different hats a day, and finding time every single day to write.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Well, I'm going to come full circle then and bring it down a notch. No, we'll go. This is a concept that seems very basic and elementary, similar to yours, but it's a lot deeper too. Much like good content strategy. There was a lot of chatter happening, not back channel chatter. I monitor a lot of conversations on Twitter. I think there's a lot of great information out there. But there were some really good updates in the realm of search. And one thing that came up lately and continues to come up is that there's some confusion still as to what it means to be indexed versus ranked. So, so more importantly, let's define, what does it mean to be indexed? What does it mean that my site is indexed? Versus being ranked, because technically they're two different things. So I want to try and explain it as simply as possible. So I might leave some things out, but that's fine. And mind you, I think a lot of this is covered. There's a lot of things that are covered in Google even put out a piece years ago about how search works. So a lot of this is still very relevant and in there. But to explain it simply, when a site gets indexed, it means Google or Bing or Yahoo. It means that the search engine the bot is able to crawl through the pages within the site and categorize it. So originally we could say that they're going to categorize it or index it, much like you would see it in a library or a bookstore would be a good way. I mean, if you think of even citation sources, the reason they're called a citation is based off of Larry and Sergey's affinity with the library. But today it probably closely resembles more like a Netflix feed, right? Especially with algorithms and things like that. But nonetheless, an index is a way of organizing something, anything. You can index books. You can index your utensils in your drawers in your kitchen. It's can the bots crawl the site effectively, and more or less decipher what type of content is this, and where should I place it thematically. Now, a site that ranks is completely different than one that just simply is in the index. You can totally have a site that is being indexed, but doesn't really, air quotes, rank. I'm talking like when it ranks out in like 50 plus.
Right.
Are we really, nobody's seeing that. So if we keep in mind that index is a way to categorize, rank is where the page or site falls within those categories when someone performs a search. So rank is where it falls in the search engine results page, aka the SERPs. So if a page can't be indexed, it certainly can't be ranking, right? But the confusion that comes out, and SEO Roundtable's Barry Schwartz did a really great piece on it. Search Engine Land did a bunch of content on it. There's a great Twitter thread out there about it. But that many are the assumption that pages that are slow. So I'm think about the recent updates with the page speed algorithm update. So many are the assumption that pages that are slow are given up on by Google trying to index them. So if Google keeps trying to access that page and it doesn't load, they're going to say, well, if we can't load this, we're not going to index it. So if the page speed update impacts those really slow pages, is this an index or ranking factor? So that's where the confusion comes out. Most of these people, and so people that are in here, I mean, it's Pete Myers from Dr. Pete from Moz. It's Cindy Crum from Mobile Moxie. You know, there's a lot of really great people that I look up to in the industry that are saying, now wait a minute, can we clarify about being independent of indexing? So what Barry Schwartz does a good job of saying where the confusion really lies here is that people who know the algorithm, it's obvious that this has nothing to do with indexing, and it's a ranking algorithm. So if the page speed update hurts those really slow pages, is it an indexing or ranking issue? So if Google can only rank pages that they index, they can't rank pages that they did not index. So it's really, really muddy waters. So John Mueller from Google got involved. Gary Illy's got involved. So it's a really fascinating read. But it also goes to show you how this industry can also get pretty jaded in their own ways about like no, this is gospel here, right? Like Google created this algorithm, we have to follow it. But I wanted to step back a notch and just say, like, hey, reminder, this is what it means to be indexed. Granted, we have a mobile first index and the desktop index. But then what does it mean to be ranked within the index? Case in point, if you have 100 pages on your site that are legitimate and they are not all being indexed, there's a problem. If none of them can be indexed, which we've run into that before, that's a problem. There's no way you're going to be able to be ranked in most cases, and I think that's where the confusion comes up. So, very, very interesting piece there. So, we'll share some links to that. That's really good. The other one is this one just came in before I was walking over to hit record. Darren Shaw at White Spark had sent out a really great, interesting blog post we'll link to. It's all about what page to link your Google My Business listing to. So what page should I link off of my GMB?
Not just your homepage.
Well, interestingly enough, he gives some reasons why around that, kind of that, like if you have multiple locations and
right.
Some things I agree with, some things I don't. Very much that, could you get 3 locations to be listed on the same and link in and actually rank? And he has some really good points there. But and kind of a threshold of, well, if you have 5, maybe you should have a page dedicated to each location, but you need to make sure you're talking specifically about that location. And that's, from my perspective, always the general approach I've taken, that especially geographically speaking, if you have a couple distinct different locations, that service different types of people, or they have different services or products, why not generate a page around that? But the most fascinating thing about it was, and he has a great screen share, Darren did it live, how quickly Google picks up on when you make a change to what page you tell Google My Business to render. It's within like 3 minutes. It's extremely quick.
Dang.
And what they're looking at for it and how they're looking at it. But as somebody put in the comments, there's a couple comments on there already. I always like reading the comments to see what people say, but why wouldn't Google be looking at that data consistently? Because if Google Maps and Google My Business is seen as a highly authoritative source, they want to make sure that whatever they're linking to is also an authoritative source. So there's some really really fascinating information that Darren talks about in there. I think the video is maybe like 10 minutes, so it's really worth a read, a watch and a read. So.
Yeah, we've been talking about that a little bit for one of our clients recently. So what was his recommendation then? A location page or home page? Or?
I mean, I think ultimately what it comes down to is that if in case if you have 4 locations, I mean, that are definitely geographically separated by one another, as the ones that I know are, you want to have an individual location page for that. Why not? Where if you have 2 or 3 different locations, sending them to the homepage, I think is okay. But he even also makes the point, like, as long as you can fit those location names in the traditional areas of, like, your page titles and talking about things in not so much the description, but page title, you can cover it on the page, so if we're here in the West Michigan region, can I talk about Grand Rapids, Holland, and Muskegon all on that same page? Now, how's that going to come across on your homepage? I don't know. Or maybe you're sending people to a more service area oriented type page. So there's a couple different routes to go about it, but nonetheless, you could totally check it out, and certainly you could also use UTM tracking codes too in there as well. So a lot going on.
Yeah.
Boy, everything from Alexa be damned to not heating Pat's house properly to what feels like getting back to basics, and a good reminder of if we're creating content, making sure we're really understanding what value that content is bringing. So we're not just creating content to create content, and then really keeping in mind the difference between an index site versus ranking as well, and some of the signals. Obviously, there's a lot of signals that go into that.
I wonder if there's an Alexa skill for that.
I bet you could teach it. Certainly could teach it. So, all right. So make sure you check out the show notes, and we've got some other great resources in our blog, blacktruckmedia.com/blog. Check that out. Would love your feedback in the show notes. And until next time, good luck.
This has been the Redirect Podcast. Check out the show notes at blacktruckmedia.com and add us on iTunes and Stitcher.